as my friend Landon calls it, Claudine Land right here. And this is the amazing, fantastic Levant Comtois over here. To the one on the left is Levant Comtois de la Mer, which is lots of seafood. And this one is, so that's de la Mer. Because if I spot somebody working. And then right here is de la Terre, which is my beloved. I love it so much. So I will turn my video off here real quick so that if you guys are here, if you've been here before, you know the drill. If you are new, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And you want to find Kate French's feed, her little box up there. And when you're on hers, if you're on an iPhone or an iPad, just double tap it to join it, to keep it onto your screen. If you're not, you could go in the top right-hand corner and hit the little blue bubble and then hit pin, and that pins her to your screen. And we just wanted to start here just because I just love it so much. And I wanted to see some of my people. I was hoping Pauline was working, but I think she's on her midday break. Hi, Chrissy. Hi, Judy. And so this is Levant Comtois and the Comtois and the Hotel Le Relais Saint-Germain. This is the greatest place in all of Paris, owned by a wonderful, amazing chef and human, Yves Candidor, who I love dearly. They are the best. It's the greatest hotel up there too. The boys gave me a night there one time to stay, and Yves and in the Hemingway room, and I did not want to leave. It was like the most comfortable bed in the world. I was like, I'm not leaving. But if you have a chance, if you're going to Paris and you have a chance, this is where you want to stay because it is the best and the restaurant's the greatest. And they don't take reservations, but you can get, if you're staying in the hotel, you could get a table anytime you want. And they have the breakfast is the best breakfast ever. They used to have seats out there in the middle, but back in November, the city had everybody take those down. So, oh no, Cheryl, that's strange. I'll send you, yeah, well, I'll have it up on YouTube. I also created a new spot on my website, ClaudineHemingway.com, that has the live walks on there. I put notes on there. So if there's a place I mention, I'll put a link on it there for you. And I'll also put the YouTube video, but you could also find Claudine Bleu Blanc Rouge on YouTube as well and subscribe to the channel. And then you can get updates anytime. But this is the greatest little triangle in Paris. As if you followed me for even 5 minutes, you will know this, that I love this area. Right behind Kate is the fantastic Brez Cafe that has some of the best crepes in Paris. The one that they do, the galette, that has jambon truffe, so it's ham with some truffle laced in it, and then it has comté cheese and an egg, and it is like the most delicious thing you've ever eaten. I love it. And this little beautiful little setup here, this is Ibu. Look at that. They look like little ski tram things. I will definitely have to go check that out. Gondolas. Thank you, Ellen. But yes, anywhere. Les Editeurs is really good too. The upstairs is really fun to sit. It's, you know, it harkens back to the days where this was the literary center of Paris, where we had the 2 original Shakespearean companies for Sylvia Beach. Those little gondolas are so cute, and they have the Ibu logo on it. Very cute. And of course, here's the wonderful Brez Cafe. So we'll turn back around to go the other direction, Kate, to Rue Saint-Sulpice. Oh, and there's Zoe's store. So Zoe Ferdinand, she has that, sorry, Kate. Everybody's like, whoa, whoa. Where those flowers are, Zoe Ferdinand does amazing things. She does these really fun t-shirts and a bunch of other stuff. And now she has these little panties with different literary titles on it. And one of them is Paris et une fête, which is a movable feast in French. But she has t-shirts, and now she has these little knickers and candles. I just actually had this in my newsletter the other day. She has fantastic stuff, and she's super, super sweet. She actually might be tuning in today. but definitely go check that out. So everything you need is right here in this little triangle, perfect little triangle. So we'll go across the way there, Kate, and then up to the left to Rue Saint-Sulpice. Traffic has been crazy today in Paris. And so usually Kate has time to get around and go pre-walk everything. And the traffic has just been insane the last few weekends. So we'll go to the left. So I'll be directing her as we go. But this is such a great little area. I had some, maybe Barbara's watching. She was, I had somebody message me that they lived on Rue Saint-Sulpice that we're going to be going down. This little, that's frightening. This, that place always has like whiskeys and rum and everything else. So it's the next street past this. If you ended up, we're going to go down Rue Saint-Sulpice, but that street right there, if you go down there, you head right towards the Marseille Saint-Germain. And that's where another Le Vent Comptoir is. Oh, Manish, you need to get back. There's lots of, there's this little Italian place right there. I've never been there. But we're going to head down here, down Rue Saint-Sulpice, which I love this street. I've stayed on this street a few times. I've stayed in a building kind of right behind Kate that look down this street. And if you look straight ahead, you see the Tower of Saint-Sulpice, which is always wonderful. But this street itself has quite the naughty little history because we're here on the street. I stayed in that building right there, number 9, those windows right above it. It didn't have a lot of sound insulation, I'll say that. It was quite, you could hear everybody in the hallway talking in the middle of the night. But it still was a great location. But this little street here, because we are, obviously, it's Rue Saint-Sulpice, so we are heading right towards the church. But this whole area was at one time was either the Abbey of Saint-Sulpice or the Abbey of Saint-Germain-des-Prés. They basically were right next to each other. And so on this street, there was a bunch of brothels, and the brothels basically catered to the priests of Saint-Sulpice and the abbeys. So, you know, I think things were a little bit different back then, but it was quite a few different ones. There was number 7 that we went past, that was the abbey, and it catered, it had a lot of these different ones had different themes, we shall say. This is, you know, a Sunday morning show. We'll keep going down Saint-Sulpice. Look at that cute little window. Thank you, Kate. Look at, she's spotting things. And Rue de Tournon, this is Rue de Seine turns into Rue de Tournon right there. I've also stayed on that street. You can see I don't go very far. You see where I'm always in a radius to Le Vent Comptoir, a very close radius. But this was, they had quite a few of the different brothels. So the 4 biggest ones were the Abbey, Chez Ali, Chez Christine, sorry, Chrissy, and Miss Betty. And Miss Betty's was, we're going to walk right past the door and you could still see a reminder of what it was. But they would have different themes. Some of them would take a whole building and they would have like one building would have like a satanic theme, and another would be, you know, like hell, and another one would be like some godly thing. And so these priests would be able to just, you know, jump right out the church or the abbey and just stroll on over to go visit Miss Christine and Miss Betty and their ladies. But it's pretty funny, but they're still at Chez Ali. If you go into the door, if you find it open one day, in the tiles on the floor, it still says Chez Ali on it. So that's kind of cool. And then we're coming up here. Once we get down, it's kind of opposite the church at number 36. The only way back then, they couldn't obviously have signs outside the building that said, you know, brothel here. So how that they would show it is the numbers on the buildings would be larger than the other buildings, normal buildings, and sometimes more colorful. And so when we get up here to number 36 on the right side, I think it's right past, it's just a very skinny building. I think it's the one that kind of is sticking out a little bit. And so you can see the church is right across the street. So these guys could basically just go out with the side door and run on over to see Miss Betty. But it's that one, yeah, I think it's the one that's sticking out here a little bit. And if you look up to the door, is it this one? Is this 36? See how the door is painted? So the number is painted there. And so that is how you knew it was a brothel. And I love the fact that they've still kept it, but that is as wide as the building is basically as wide as that door. So it goes all the way up. But that's how you would know it was a brothel, because of that little number. They've recently, in the last few years, updated the facade. And so I'm really happy that they left that on there. And the door is gorgeous. But you could, it's Rue Sensible. You would never know that it had this naughty little history. And it's not just Pigalle, wasn't just Pigalle. But this is a wonderful little street. I'm sure everybody has walked this many, many times. And it's a lovely little evening in here. And we're going to try to pop in. We're not sure if there is mass going on. We seem to always have the luck of getting in there when mass is going on. But we are going to go pop in there and see the nativity scene that should be set up. And in Paris, they leave the Christmas lights and everything up for like months. And so usually you could go in when I've been there, Valentine's Day and Christmas just still set up. So, oh, is that a little kitty cat? And we'll go pop in here into the church. We've done this, we've gone into the church before, but we're going to just give it a shot to see if we could get in. Oh, I've never seen this door open. How exciting. We have a little tree. A few trees there. If you're celebrating Christmas, does everybody have their trees set up? I finally did mine last night. Well, thank you, Jennifer, for joining. Thank you, everybody. Oh, maybe we can't, in fact, go in that door. But there's a little star up there for the holiday. How nice. They just had a big mass here, or a big, for the Archbishop of Paris had to resign, or he sent in his resignation because they thought he had a relationship with a woman years ago, even though he said it was just a friendly relationship. Apparently, obviously, things were much different. If it was Miss Betty, maybe it'd be different. But it looks like it.
Sorry, there's a big old event going on. I don't even think it's mass. I think it's something else.
Another event.
They've got some.
Well, I'll pop in there in a few weeks, and I'll take some photos of it. But look, that's the one of the mayor's office for the 6th, and I love it when they light it up like the French flag there. Thank you, Janice, so much for the calendar. I just got it yesterday. And I'm going to share it. Janice does these amazing watercolors of France and of Paris. And she sent me a calendar that she does, and I will share it later today on my stories. I'm also going to have it in my newsletter this week, but you have to check them out. They're beautiful. And that stamp, the little stamp on the back with the Louvre on it. Is there a way to order some of those? I need those. I'll send you a message. But look, that is the beautiful Saint-Sulpice that is the 2nd largest church in Paris after of course, Notre Dame de Paris. And what I love about this church is the facade. Of course, I love everything about this church. But the right tower there, if you look kind of closely, you could see it was never finished. And so it is very interesting. It's actually a little shorter than the other one as well. So if you really look at it, you start to easily see the differences. I think I looked at that church a few times before I ever noticed, you know, how your mind plays that trick on you, or it just, you know, fills in the blanks. But it is an amazing church. Anne of Austria, the mother of Louis XIV, is the one who laid the first stone here. There was a church here long ago before it. And then we're going to head back down there across the street. And we're going to go to the right of that little Cafe de la Marie, which is a wonderful place to go and sit. I finally went there and actually had lunch one day, because every time I've been there has either been in the morning for coffee or in the afternoon for a glass of wine. And I was like, I've still, in all the times I've been here, I hadn't eaten there. And I went there one day and had a croque madame, and it was delicious. But many of the writers, of course, Hemingway just lived right up the street when he was married to Pauline. Hemingway came here, all of those expat writers of the time. But I wanted to go down this street because they call it, it's the Rue de Canette, and now it is covered with all these little balloons. It's kind of like champagne bubbles is what it's supposed to represent. And who doesn't love that? And so you could tell they're like laying between a net. So they're all being held in there, but there's quite a few of them that are getting smaller. I'm wondering if they're going to keep replacing them, because I think they might lose some air along the way. But it's very fun. There's a few streets like this in Paris. But I love this little blanket of champagne bubbles. There should be somebody on the street just handing out little free glasses of champagne. Shouldn't that just be a thing in Paris all the time? Oh, look at those sad ones on the end. But there's a street. We'll keep going down this on Rue de Canette, but to the right, that street, Rue Princesse, is where all of the bars are. And they're open very, very late into the night, into the morning. And I've been a few times with my Levant Comtois family. And I'm quickly reminded that I am much older than they are, but I hold strong. And then the next day I am exhausted. I try to hang with the young kids, but this is a great little street. The Rue de Canette is ducklings. And there's a great little place down here on the street as we just passed it, Chez Georges, which if you watched, what is that? Mrs. Maisel, our marvelous Mrs. Maisel, when they were in Paris, they used that street. But these are all these great little side streets that you could go up and down. We're just a block off of Boulevard Saint-Germain. And when we get here, we're going to take a left. And this as a note for anybody going to Paris, that pharmacy right there with its beacon of glowing green light is City Pharma, which is the greatest pharmacy in all of Paris. If you want any French beauty products, that is the place to go. It is always busy. It always says that it's closed on Sunday, but it always is open on Sunday. But the sign will say it's closed Sunday, but I've always gone and it's open. But it is great. We'll take a right there on Rue Bonaparte. It is everything there is about 30 to 70% less expensive than even the pharmacy on the other side of this block, because they go through everything so quickly, and they restock. I mean, if you go in there at the end of the day, a lot of the shelves will be empty. So every night and every morning they are restocking it. So the prices are much lower, sometimes by like 10 euros. For stuff. So it's absolutely fantastic. And you'll never know the things that you thought you didn't ever need, you will come out of with that place. And they're really helpful. If you go in there and say, I'm looking for something for this or for that, they'll help you. One time they were like, oh, do you want something, for your dark, under your eyes? And I was like, oh, I guess so. And then they kept pointing out other things. Oh, do you want something for this? I was like, I think I just want to leave now, because now I just feel really bad about myself. But let me spend 200 euros before I go. And we're going to take a right here. We're going to come around. We're going to sneak down a side path here and then come back around over to the Église Saint-Germain-des-Prés, which also has a lovely little Christmas market there. And it's open until Christmas Day, or the 26th, I believe. Oh, Angela, yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot quieter in City Pharma. And yeah, they do speak English. So lots of the people there speak English. It's also like, that's where you just like point to things on your face or, you know, something like that. And that's, you know, beware at your own risk what you might end up having to buy. But it is great. You could go in there and get that fancy Italian toothpaste, like the ones that taste like licorice and all this other stuff. It's really, it's an amazing store. You'll find too many things. And then of course we have the beautiful Saint-Germain-des-Prés right there. And then this fun little Christmas village. We're just gonna kind of walk past it and around the front of Saint-Germain-des-Prés and down the street. But here you could go and get some French gifts because all of the markets have to sell 100% French products. And then, but you could also go and get like vin chaud and some crepes with Nutella. The crepe guy is always here, even when it's not Christmas, he's always there in the corner. But you could get all sorts of delicious little food items. It's very cute. It closes on December 26th. I'm very bummed out because I get there early the next morning. 2 weeks from today, I will be on the plane. So we'll get Kate through here. Kate has taken off to New York in a few days. So we're going to keep her safe and out of the crowds before she has to go get her COVID test to fly to New York. Oh, look at that. Some vin chaud and a little bit of everything. There's so many Christmas villages. There's also the one in front of Notre Dame right now as well, just off to on the left bank in the little park right there. And then of course we have the Café du Magot right here. And then I love the beautiful awning of Le Bonaparte. It looks like it's somewhat like balmy today in Paris, isn't it, Kate? Isn't it like 50 degrees or something?
Yes, it's definitely like, it feels weirdly humid.
Very strange.
Which is though. Really weird considering it's been like biting cold winds for the last couple of weeks. It's definitely a lot warmer tonight.
That's good. And we'll take a right here. Yeah, I was just looking and it was saying it was going to be like a high of 35 the day I get there. I'm like, well, it'll change. It's 2 weeks away.
Yeah, it's definitely, it changes a lot at the moment.
It does. It's always like that in Paris. You never even trust the iPhone weather even on the day of for Paris.
There's no point in looking.
No, it's just you look out the window. The way they did it so long ago.
Lauren and I always say, dress for the weather you want, not the weather you have.
Yes, that's what I unfortunately do. And sometimes I get quite cold because it's not the
just
weather
like willing the weather to do as we please.
Yes. I usually dress for the afternoon weather. So if it's going to be warm, but it's 8 o'clock in the morning, it's still cold, I'm not wearing a jacket because I don't want to carry it around. So I might be cold for a bit. But this still street here, this is the Rue de l'Abbé, which this is obvious by the name. It used to be part of the Abbey of Saint-Germain. The Saint-Germain Abbey was massive and basically covered all of this. You have the little view of the back of the church. I posted a picture on my Facebook, Bleu Blanc Rouge, the other day, and it was a picture taken at that exact spot many, many years ago. Was really interesting because you can still see the top of it was the same. And then here's our little ladies, our little people, those little things on we did this before. I love these guys. They're so cute. Every time I walk by there, I always have to see them, but they're so cute. Some of them are broken off.
Look.
I know, missing. That one's been missing a long time, I think. But they're so cute. I mean, what a cute little thing to hold your sweaters back. They actually have a name, but I can't remember what they are. Look at the sky. It looks this lovely evening.
There's no wind. It's very nice.
No
it's very
wind.
still.
And we're going to walk through everybody's favorite, plus the Furstenberg, but that house there on the corner that everybody wishes that they could live in. I was always like, what is the story of this house? And then I was doing research on Victor Baltar, who did the famous Leal iron structures. I can't think of the word. And he also did a bunch of stuff. He did the Baltar, the benches. So the very famous benches, the iron benches that you see around Paris, the gondola style benches that you see in the parks. He designed all of those things. And that is where he lived. These guys obviously don't know we're trying to talk.
British lads.
But this is the fantastic Place de Furstenberg, which is named after the Cardinal Furstenberg, which I used to always get mixed up. I was always in my head because of the designer Diane de Furstenberg, but his name is actually with the N, but then it's Furstenberg in French. From a ways away, that looked like a pretty chandelier hanging down the center. And I love this little area because there in that far corner is the Musée Eugène Delacroix, who I love, love, love. And that is where he lived and in the later years of his life and where he died. Later on, Monet and Frederic Bazille lived there as well. But it's now the Musée Delacroix, and you could go, it's rather small, but you could go back. The inside of it is pretty small for what you get to see. Then you could walk through and walk down into the back courtyard, which is just heavenly. And then his studio's back there. And so that you could also go into the studio. They do different exhibits twice a year. They change out the exhibits. It is part of the Louvre. So if you go to the Louvre, save your ticket. And within the next 24 hours or so, you could go and just show your ticket and go into the Delacroix for free. If say you go to the Louvre on a Monday, the Delacroix is closed Tuesday, they'll let you go in Wednesday. And this cute little street. A lot of the stores here are all interior design stores. And so in January, they always do a big thing around Maison Objet. And there's this wonderful little store, the Arty Dandy. This is where I got my beloved Rive Gauche, Rive Droite tennis shoes. They might still have some in the window that they've kept in the window for about 4 years now, which is why, yep, there they are, which is why I was always like, oh, I really want those. And then I finally got them. And we'll take a right here. We did a walk through here back last summer, and all of those are on my YouTube, Claudine Bleu Blanc Rouge on YouTube. So we put there's about 40 walk videos from the last year, because we just started it a year ago last week. So it's a little over our 1-year birthday. And this is, I just also wanted to just see my place that I walk down almost every day. So I stay just very close to here on Rue de Bussy. And so this is a very my everyday walk a lot of the times. And we're just taking you with us. I love this little park with its palm tree there. And then we're going to go over towards, you were heading back the right direction up there. We'll go straight towards the buildings and take a right. Other way, around. I hope nobody's getting seasick. And we'll take a right here. This is Rue de Seine. And that building there with the big blue door, that is where the club was, the rock and roll, we'll take a right. Where Jim Morrison was, back behind you. Turn around. We'll go straight up there and take a left on Rue de Bussy. That's where Jim Morrison was on his last night. Some people think that is where he actually died, in the bathroom, and then they took his body to his apartment over in the Marais, and because the club didn't want that stigma of that he died there. So you decide if he died on the toilet at the club or he died in the bathtub in his apartment. But here, there's that restaurant right there, with a beautiful facade that it was in an article years ago that seems to get rehashed every few months and shared on Facebook. But that's beautiful tile. It used to say Boissonnerie, and then they changed the P to the B. And then right behind Kate is Freddy's, which wine bar, which is another great one. They're from the same company, but Freddy's is right there. And it is fantastic, just right down here. There's 3 restaurants that are owned by the same people. And then Rue de Bussy has beautiful Christmas lights. This place on the corner it's so pretty with its red awnings and has some garland on it. But it's really only good for like apéro. The food's not the greatest. Kind of all the places on this street are pretty touristy. So you're not going to get the greatest food. Oh, look, there's my door. Soon, 2 weeks. And that is that restaurant there is Le Molière, because the building, and that's my building, Le Molière is because that is where Jean-Baptiste was staying with his troupe when he decided to change his name to Molière. So I was very excited to finally have a place that had something really cool in history happened. But you can see the beautiful lights up above the street. Can't wait to look down and see all those. And the restaurant's Atlas here on the right has a lot of seafood. You could even walk up to that counter and just get some oysters as you're walking if you want. And then the patisserie here on the left is amazing. It has like the best pain au chocolat ever. They're so good. As you can see, people lined up. Everything they have there is delicious, and the ladies are so nice. And then Maison Sauvage here, which always has a line. It's very Instagram worthy, but another place I wouldn't really eat. It's really overpriced and the food is not great. So just my 2 cents for you. Nothing's worse than going and spending like 30 euros, for dinner and wine, and then you are like regret it afterwards. And we'll take a left here. And of course we have another Bussy, another great place. And we are on the Rue Mazarine now. Another street I've stayed on a few times. As you see, I have a very small radius. And there is a ramen place up here, and I have stayed over it twice, and it always has a line. I think it must be closed today because I don't see a line of people. And it was right. I stayed right over it, and it was always rather loud. But this whole street, I love this bookstore. A lot of the Asian restaurants used to be over in the second near on Rue Saint-Anne. And now a lot of them there's quite a few over here on Rue Mazarine, I think because the ramen place that was doing so well. So they all moved over here. And then there's a parking garage over here that if you go down in the parking garage, you could find some of the wall of Philippe Auguste. I always take people down there, and the last time I did it, they weren't very happy with me. Oh, there it is. There's the ramen place. So those windows literally right over it, those were my windows. And that's the parking. But I love this street. This is also the street that the amazing Jean Levin, the designer, she was born on this street. She was like one of like 8 children. She was the oldest one. And then she ended up becoming, from a very early age, she was designing hats. And she did all of this before that other designer with the C's as her logo. she who shall not be named. But she was the first that designed hats. She was designing hats before she did. She designed the first was a designer to have the first perfume, sportswear, all sorts of stuff. But she was born just right about where Kate is. And we're going to head down this street. This is one of my favorite little streets, Rue Mazarine. Because we're coming up to the back of the Institut de France. And it's always this very quiet street. For years, it was closed off to traffic because they were doing construction inside the Institut de France on the back side of it. So it's still always pretty quiet. You don't see a lot of cars. This is a very busy traffic time for it to be from what it usually is. But down this street here, you had the building where the Pompiers du Paris were, the act to create the Pompiers du Paris was signed. So that should have a very large, amazing plaque on it. It does. But this is also where Champollion, who deciphered the Rosetta Stone, lived right down here in this building too. And he ran out on the street when he finally deciphered it and figured out what the Rosetta Stone, he ran out onto the street and was yelling and screaming. He was very excited. And Molière also had one of their first theaters here. That's why they were living very close to here. That is the building. But I love this street because it comes up to the back of the Institut de France, and which is one of my favorite buildings, just because it's one I always see. So I always walk down here, see this, walk across the Pont des Arts, and then to my other favorite building, the Louvre. And in the morning, in the morning when the sun is rising and it hits that gold, the dome, you could kind of see where it's lighter, that's gold. And it just shines in the light, and it's absolutely beautiful. But see, it's pretty quiet. It's a pretty quiet little street. So usually I'm walking down here with my delicious pain au chocolat. And then there's this adorable little park here on the corner. And that park, in the fall, it has a view of that amazing building with the ivy that changes to red, and during the fall. And then in the spring, this is one of those trees there are cherry blossoms. So they just turn into these huge, huge pink cotton candy poofs. But that building straight across is the one that has the ivy. So all the ivies died off now. But that was the house that they used as the facade for Julia Childs in Julie and Julia. So you see they see him drive up around this corner here. And now every time I walk down it, I always think of that. And then we're back on Rue de Seine here. We'll take a right. And Kate, in the little niche on the wall, we should hopefully have our angel back if somebody didn't mess it up. Somebody did. I'm not going to be happy. Because Jean-Charles told me he was putting it back. And he did. So I hope it's still there. Crossing my fingers. Crossing my fingers.
There we go.
Oh, there he is, the angel for Louis. So Jean-Charles de Castelbajac is this amazing designer. He started many, many years ago. He would design kind of crazy things. He did like a teddy bear coat. He's done some stuff for Elton John, Lady Gaga. But he started years ago putting these angels all over the city, and they were he would do them dedicated to loved ones in his life. And so he would put these on, and you see there in the bottom right, the square or the little X, that's kind of his symbol. And so he always dates them. So he just did this one back on November 4th. And this is the 4th time he's put it back. And there's been an angel here. And this is how I first found him. And when I was there in the fall, I took a picture and tagged him and said, he needs his angel back, and he sent me a message. He says, oh yes, I will. And then when he did it, he sent me a message, and he said it's very important to do it because it's dedicated to Louis Ali, who died there and during those last days during the liberation of Paris. So I love that he put those on, but he puts these all over. And so I will put the link to his Instagram on my website. And then go follow him because he puts these up all the time around the city, and usually dedicated to different people. And so it's really fun. It's always fun. Anytime I come across one of them, it always makes me smile and makes me happy.
I saw he's got an exhibition at the Pompidou soon.
Yeah, he does. And it's actually like for kids. It's like in the little kids area. And I went one day because I love him. And so I went there, and the guy was like, this is for children. And I was like, oh, je connais. And he was just like, okay. And he looked at me really weird. And I said, j'adore Jean-Charles. And he was like, oh, okay. But I went first thing, and there weren't any kids in there, and I wasn't going to take any pictures of kids, but I think the guy thought I was a little strange. But here, this is the front of the Institut de France. And right now there is this piece of art here. It's by Georges Basili. It's called Zero Dome, and it was just installed here in October. And if you look at it, it's actually feet. It's legs, high heels. So I really love it. And it's one of the legs is missing. There's 5 of them. So I'm not sure there's 2.5 ladies dancing around. But he was inducted into the Académie des Beaux-Arts, which is held in this building, but he also has an exhibition going on at the Pompidou as well. So this will be up until March, as long as his exhibition is up. But they installed these back in October, right around the FNAC that was in Paris. But this is the Institut de France. It started out as the Collège des Quatre Nations. And it was when Cardinal Mazarin died, he left a bunch of money with the intent that a college be built right here on this spot. And it was the College of the Four Nations. It was only for 60 individuals from 4 different countries. And so this, it wasn't there for very long. It was finally built in between 1662 and 1688 by Louis Laveau. It was built here so it would be looking back at my beloved Louvre, just right across the Pont des Arts. It closed in 1791, of course, during the Revolution. And then in 1805, it was opened to become the site for the academies, which had been in the Louvre. So after Louis XIV took up and left Paris and went to Versailles, the Louvre turned into a place where artists lived and worked, and also the academies were. So the Académie des Beaux-Arts, all of these different academies were there. So in 1805, Napoleon had them moved over here. So there's 5 academies that are actually in here, including the political science, fine arts, science, the notes and letters, and the French Academy, and the Institut de France and the Académie Française, which governs the language. So we could have those people to blame for having to learn masculine and feminine and the 4,000 different ways that you need to say every single thing. So Chrissy, let's go in there and give them a piece of our mind. They have been working on the newest edition of the French dictionary for 35 years, I believe it is. So, and a new thing just started, because there is masculine and feminine. Some people are trying to do, there's also, instead of il, elle, there's another version, which is basically, non-binary, basically a term for words. And people are kind of in an uproar about that. They want to keep the French as the French. They're very particular. And all of us that are learning French understand and aren't pleased with them. But we're going to walk down here, and we're going to end up over at the lovely Place Dauphine. But this is the mint right here. And so, yes, Janice, it's in your calendar, Pastofine, I think. I was just looking through it. But this is the mint. And so this is this, most people probably don't think to go here. Definitely go here. It's incredibly interesting. They do special exhibits. The space is beautiful, but it's also still a working mint. So this is where they used to, and it dates back to like the mint was, it dates back to like the 9th century. And they, inside there, they have a whole thing in the museum about the history of money and how it's made. And you would think like, oh, ho hum, but it's actually really interesting. They still are creating money there. They do like those special coins. If you've been in the museums and those places, you could kind of at all the gift shops, you could buy these commemorative coins. The first trip I was there, I kept collecting all of them, and now I have this like dish of them, and I don't know why I have what I'm gonna do with them. But they print those there. They do special commemorative ones where if you sign up for their emails, you get emails like every other week of like, now here's the one we're doing with Disney, and here's this one, you know. But it's really, really fascinating. Currently, there is an exhibit about Napoleon, because everything was about the 200th anniversary of his death. And so I am going to go check. I ran out of time in the fall. I'm going to go check that out here in a couple weeks. But it's a really, really fascinating place. It's kind of interactive too. So you could actually, there's this one part where you can actually kind of make your own coin. It's really, really cool place to go. And part of it is the side that's here on the street side of the K. There's these beautiful rooms inside there. There's also a very fancy restaurant. Oh goodness. There's also a very fancy restaurant inside there that you could go if you want to go and have dinner, but the view obviously is fantastic from here. And the front of the building is really pretty too. And we have all the bouquinistes. And we're going to circle around. I'm very glad that it's not super cold for Kate today. Keeping her a little warm.
Nice, my hands are actually a normal temperature.
Yeah, they're not freezing.
Yeah.
I know, because you can't really, like those gloves, it's, you know, they have those gloves that are supposed to have the fingers so you can still touch your phone. They never work.
No, they don't.
They never work. But we'll go over here. We'll go visit my friend Henri Cat. See how the construction's going. You, Judy, the bouquinistes, you could kind of bargain. I've had it where they were like, oh, €5 or, I'm always too chicken to like bargain. So it's, I've had times where they're like, I've only had like €5 and it's supposed to be 7. And they're like, oh, that's fine. Or, like I'll start digging around for change and they'll say, yeah, that's okay. But of course we're here on the beautiful Pont Neuf that, everybody likes to say it's the oldest bridge in Paris, but it's named the New Bridge. But it was named the New Bridge because it was it was the first one that was going to be built without houses on it, buildings. And it was also the first stone bridge. And up here we have Henri Cat standing proud. The second version of this statue, the first version, when Marie de Medici had it commissioned, it was created in Italy, and it was on a boat coming up to Paris and off the coast of Italy and sunk. They were able to get it. They rescued it back, pulled it out. It made its way to Paris. It was then later taken down, and then it was replaced again with this one. But the original one, pieces of it are in the Carnavalet, which is really cool to see. But they're redoing this whole area up here. This ended up getting covered with those stupid love locks all the way around it. And they're taking all those down. It looks like they're kind of doing the same thing they have on the Pont des Arts, that just those kind of plexiglass around the edges of the bridge. So those get too heavy and start to ruin the bridge. It started ruining the Pont des Arts. But it's good to see it's working away. And then we're going to head over here to Place Dauphine. We'll end up there. And so those two buildings that we're looking at right there, those are the only original buildings still here. It was created in 1580. It's named for the Dauphin, Louis the 13th. It was the son of Henry the Fourth, and it was it's called Dauphine because the place is feminine. So again, thank you in the French Academy. So because I was always, for a long time, I was like, well, why, if it's named for the Dauphin, why is it Place Dauphine? That's feminine. And then I learned this is why. But those two buildings here, these two buildings here on the end are the only ones that are the original. Everything else is, it's not like the rest of it's modern. But there usually is Christmas trees in here. But it's nice and quiet in here. This was filmed when I was there in the fall, and I walked you guys through here. It was that whole center area was filled with tables. So a bunch of the cafes that were around there were filling up into this area. But it's kind of it is this triangle shape. And it's kind of, this is basically, we're here on the Ile de la Cité. So it's the birthplace of the city. I was hoping there was Christmas trees in here this year.
Yeah, I think they're trying to keep it as quiet as possible because of the trial.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's true.
It's closed off. Yeah. So they tried to direct everyone away from the city.
So luckily, because it's Sunday, we're able to go in here. If it was any other, if it was during the week, we would have probably a pretty difficult time getting into here because there is that's the courthouse straight ahead. Right now they've been doing the trial for one of the terrorists from the November 13th attack, 2015 attacks. And so this trial is supposed to go until May at least. And it started in September. And so when it first started, the first day it started, when I was there, you couldn't even get, to get across the island, you had to go all the way down basically to the very end to cross over. You couldn't even cross over the Pont Neuf on foot. You could drive, but you couldn't even drive into here. And so it seems by the time I was leaving, it seems like it had relaxed a little bit, but a lot of the businesses in here aren't very happy because it's really just difficult for people to be able to get into these places because of the trial. It is a lot of security, obviously, but it's really interesting if you want to look it up online. The trial has more than 300 lawyers, members of the families of victims and, that perished, and also victims that have survived. Victims are there. And they have in the back, it had all these different signs because usually this whole backside is completely closed off. No, you can't enter here. And it's really gorgeous during the day when you could see it. Definitely walk back here. The building's really pretty. But this is where it'll say like for press and for, people coming to the trial. But we could just walk over here to the edge, give you another beautiful view of the city on this lovely night. And we do love bringing you guys the videos from Paris. So if you want to leave us a little tip, you could do that on my Venmo, which is, I'll put the link in the messages, but it's Claudine at ClaudineHemingway.com. And so if you want to give us a little tip, we'd appreciate it. And here we are. And there's Le Samaritain, the fantastic department store with its first Christmas. It has been quite busy in Paris, which is great because the stores the last 3 years have had bad luck. One year it was Gilets jaunes, and the next year it was the huge transit strike that went on for 2 months, and then it was COVID and everything was closed. So they're hopefully making up for it now. But it's a lovely little night here in Paris with Kate. And next week, because Kate is going to be gone, I was going to still do a video with you. And I wanted to share, back in the fall, I went to the Architecture Museum in Paris. It's just right on the other side of the Eiffel Tower, where I got to see all of the statues that have been completely restored that were once on the roof of Notre Dame de Paris. And so I was going to we could just do a Zoom again with that and do, with all the pictures, share all the pictures with you guys and tell you the story about them. If that is something you're interested in, let me know. And I will put that together this week and share it. It's pretty amazing. You're never going to have and they're going to be there until basically they're ready to go back up onto the roof. So you have a few years to go see them, but you will never get this close to them. As when they're on the roof, you can't get that close. Yeah, Tracy, PayPal is the same, Claudine at ClaudineHemingway.com, same as PayPal or Venmo. Thank you so much. But I will, if you guys want to see that, I will put that together and we could do it next week, next Sunday. And then the following Sunday, we won't have a video because I will be on the airplane. But I will do lots of videos and we'll do them the Sundays when I'm there. I'll do the videos as well. But the 26th, I can't because I will be up in the sky. I can't wait. Fingers crossed. And Kate is going to New York. She'll be on a plane this week too.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I know. Every day I'm like, okay, well, every day we get closer. Every day we get closer. But I can't wait. Can't wait to be back. And goes to see my beloved Louvre that I could just see on the edge of the picture. I'll be there that first day. I always have to go and say hello to everything. But that is beautiful Paris. So we are happy that we could bring this to you on this beautiful evening in Paris with the wonderful Kate. Maybe she'll jump on in and say hi. There she is. Beautiful Kate.
Oh, thank you guys. And I hope you all have a lovely Christmas, holiday season, whatever you celebrate.
Christmas and holidays, and we'll see you back in January. We're missing each other. Well, we'll only have a few days that we're both there in Paris, but then I'll be back shortly.
When are you leaving?
I leave the 12th.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Literally 2 days.
2 days, 2 days. So I'll be running around getting my COVID test but it's so easy to do it there. It's literally on like every other corner. So much easier than trying to find a place in the States to do it and do it quickly. So Paris is always better. But thank you guys so much for joining us. If you want to leave us a tip, you could do it at PayPal or Venmo at ClaudineHemingway.com. And then check on my website at ClaudineHemingway.com. I will be posting the video a little bit later with also any links of some of the stuff we shared and some of the stories. There's a special just for the walks on my website, so you guys could check them all out there, and then watch any of the old ones as well. So thank you guys all so much. And thank you, Kate. And I will see you all next weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Pauline.